and we'd like to wish everybody a whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
All right, bud. Um, let's start with who are you and where are you from?
Yeah, I'm Gutta Priest, straight out of 956, South Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Nice, nice. Uh, I know Texas is huge. What part of Texas is that near?
I mean,
I
honestly,
mean,
like, it's the southmost you can get, bro. Like, it's literally, I can walk to the border right now.
border town. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like you live in the area I wish I lived in because it's nice and warm.
It's warm is an understatement, bro. Like, it's hot, dude. It's like 110 degrees during the summer, 117 max, dude.
Let's see. My temperature gauge in the corner says 43 right now.
43, mine is, well, actually, mine's only 82 right now, but it's spring, you know?
That sounds like heaven. All right. Let's start with what is your musical history?
Well, honestly, like I grew up on like punk rock. It's weird because I grew up on like punk rock, grunge, stuff like that. But my favorite all-time band is Pink Floyd, which trips a lot of people out. Like that's just I love that shit, you know.
That's so
And
funny. That's the kind of music I like too.
yeah, I mean it's good stuff. You know, it's old, but it's still man, it holds up. You know, it holds the test of time. But yeah, I mean, I was really into that. About I want to say it was like 2005, 2006. My homie turned me on to this type of shit, and I never really liked rap too much. There's a couple groups like Swollen Members, stuff like that, Wu-Tang Clan, and
Nice.
once he turned me on to this, I mean honestly that was all I listened to for like 7 years straight, just nothing but like Psychopathic, Twisted, just the works like that, and I started delving deeper into the rabbit hole, finding more, finding more.
Hell yeah.
And
That's actually how I found you.
yeah, well, I actually, I think it was 2010 is when I first started making music, because like I always wrote
Hmm.
poems, songs, stuff like that, but I didn't actually make my first song until 2010. Did my first show, I believe it was the same year, and that that was crazy, man. That was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know if I need to turn my mic down a little bit if it's like peaking or something, but
No,
how's
you
that? Is
sound
that
fine
okay?
on this
Oh,
end.
okay. Yeah,
Um,
so that's how I basically got started in the music thing, and just kind of went from there.
and I know you had a name before you became Gutta Priest. What was that exactly? Because I forgot.
Okay, so I actually started out as MC Chaotic back in 2010.
All
Then I
right.
was like, nah, that's a little too long-winded, and I had a name called Chronic Doom, and that was
Okay.
like my name for the longest time.
Nice.
But I wanted to completely rebrand back in 2018 because I was like, you know what, the Chronic Doom thing. I was young. I, pissed off a lot of people, which is cool, it's whatever. But yeah, I just didn't want to just keep that going. It was kind of like an evolution because it was still horrorcore, but it was more like the mental illness side of things.
Okay.
Rapping about a lot of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, stuff like that. That was my old, stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take it a step up, and I rebranded in 2018 to Hollow. And I really had that name meant a lot to me,
Yeah,
mainly because
you got some bangers under that name too that
yeah,
I
yeah,
found on YouTube.
that's why the thing is that I was really into, I don't know if you played Dark Souls before, but it
Ex-wife
was like
did.
it was like my favorite game. It's, I mean, still one of my favorite games, and I guess when you die, you become hollow. If you give up. So
Mhm.
that's why I chose the name, because it was like I felt like Chronic Doom died and just like gave up, because I wiped my social media for 5 years, didn't do nothing. I just wrote and made my own music and shit. Just like completely separated myself from everything for like 5 years, and then I came back as Hollow, and that was it was cool. But honestly, dude, like there was a lot of other artists with similar names, like Hollow Coves and Hollow this and Hollow that and The Hollow, and it
Oh
made it
yeah.
real hard to find the music. So I was like, I gotta find something that nobody has, and I found
And
this,
you
and sure
threw a
enough,
couple
like,
words together that I don't think anybody else has put in their names.
yeah, yeah. So that's
Now,
that's how I came up with this one.
what do you like about making music?
Um, I guess just the process, man. Like just the, it's kind of like relaxing, like writing a song. Sometimes it can get stressful, especially if you're on a pinch. But I mean, just writing the music, recording, and my favorite part of the whole process, honestly, is the editing. I've always been really big on like mixing, mastering, editing stuff. That's my thing. That's what I like to do.
Oh yeah,
And
I
I
know.
know that if I want to do that, I have to like make songs to do it. So I make songs to do that.
That's smart. That's smart. Yep. Um, what is your inspiration? Because I know you have an LP where the songs are like it's like a concept album that's supposed to be based on Dante's Inferno. So, what's your inspiration like all around?
Well, I kind of grew up in a really like religious household. So like that was kind of like drove into me hard. Like everything and anything when it came to like biblical this, biblical that. And as I got older, I won't say that I like started to question necessarily, but it was kind of like how can people tell other people that their religion is wrong if they don't know anything about it. So I
Yeah,
started kind of like delving into other religions and reading, finding out a lot of it's like kind of the same shit. Like it's almost the same thing, just different versions. And honestly, like I decided, well, why don't I just take that and run with it? You know what I mean? Like kind of make like a wicked preacher type. You know what I mean? Like and kind of how do you explain it? Like I guess go on that kind of trip where it's like I guess not religious per se, but with those undertones, like the darker side of that kind of shit. Like
spiritual.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I get what you mean. What are your biggest influences?
Um, sorry, I gotta readjust this damn thing.
Oh yeah, no
Biggest
problem.
influences.
Let me just did you see at about what time you did that? Because I'm writing it down right now so I can edit you doing that out for us.
That was like
That's
at
the kind of thing that I was thinking. It's
seven.
good to pre-record so we can edit it out. I'm gonna edit this conversation out too.
Yeah, probably about 7:10. I think that was.
Yeah. All
So
right.
7:10 to
Perfect.
about 7:45.
All right. Perfect. Um, we were on the. Were we still on your biggest influences?
Yeah, yeah. I think my biggest
Okay.
influences are definitely gonna be, musically. Obviously it's gonna be, horrorcore, old horrorcore. Anything from Gravediggers, from the East Coast, Brother Lynch Hung from the West Coast, Tech Nine, the
Nice.
Clowns,
Nice.
Twisted, all that kind of stuff, all kind of came together.
Oh yeah.
But even bigger than that, man, is just the past. Life. Life is a huge influence because it's like if it wasn't for the shit that we all go through, we all go through shit. But if it wasn't for the shit that I went through, like I don't think I'd be as fucked up as I am. So I wouldn't be able to write this type of shit.
That's true too. Yeah, that's a. I mean, I think I told you this last night when we were talking. The fact that nothing bad happened to me when I was a kid, and I think that's why I don't have any musical ability or talents.
Yeah, I mean it definitely helps, but I mean it doesn't. It's not
I
like
mean, I'm sure most people would prefer to have the childhood like I had, but there is a benefit to it in the future if you make it through it.
yeah, yeah. I mean if you make it through it, but unfortunately, I mean I know so many people who didn't. Like I mean shoot, I always joke about it, but it's true. I've got more friends that are dead than are alive. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy, dude. Like insane.
Yeah, I don't know how I've lucked out. I've only lost a couple myself because of like this opiate epidemic going around,
Yeah,
especially here
yeah.
in Massachusetts. So yeah,
Yeah, I noticed it's really
there's
big
two
in
people that I've lost that hit me really hard though.
in the Northeast. I heard that it was pretty bad up there, like that whole epidemic.
Oh yeah, there's something going around right now that like rots people's skin away and stuff and makes you literally look like a zombie.
I heard about it, I think, but I
I
don't
think it's
remember what it
called
was called.
Trank or something.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
But what is your approach to making music?
Now that's a good one because it's weird, man. Like I know we had our conversation before all this, and I told you like automatic writing. I said it kind of like jokingly,
Mm-hmm.
but there is some truth to it because when I made, I want to say it was off my first album,
Hmm.
and it was a song called "Out of Time," and one night I got like I felt really restless, like I couldn't sleep, and for some reason I kept like hearing this thing in my head over and over and over, and I was like, damn dude, like what the fuck? Tried to go to sleep, couldn't, woke up, and it would not go away until I wrote it down, and I wrote it down and I
I
could
know
go to
that
sleep.
feeling. I used to write poetry.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that's a similar process. I've actually had people
look,
when I used to write
it's picking up
poetry
the
ask me to
ghost.
help write songs. What happened?
It keeps picking up that, you see that little voodoo doll back there on my
Hmm?
screen? There's like a little voodoo doll. He's
Oh,
sitting on top
word.
of on the speaker. It keeps picking him up, and it
Oh,
always
that's why
goes
it
to
keeps
him.
moving.
Yeah, it keeps going to him. I don't know why, but it always does that. It's a trip, dude.
That's hilarious.
And it's not
All
even
right.
in the look, look, look.
Yeah. Oh,
It
so
did it again.
that wasn't you moving the camera
No, no,
there.
no. It does it on its own. I have to kind of readjust it, and it keeps looking at that thing. It was doing it during the dry run I did the other night too. It's insane. Like I don't know what it is about that guy, but this thing likes that guy. As a
All
matter
right.
of fact, you know what? I'll try not
I
to
wrote
move
the
as
time
much.
down for this conversation as well.
I'm gonna turn that off so that it doesn't move
Yeah,
because
that's
I'll
probably
just
for the
stay.
best.
Yeah, I'll just stay in the frame because it just
Yeah.
automatically shifts to that guy. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't seem like you move too much anyway, so it's not the
Yeah.
biggest deal. Um, oh shit, you kind of were getting into my next question for you, which was, what is your creative process?
Yeah. So that's basically what it is. Like I'll hear the beat, and especially when it comes to something that I'm really feeling,
Hmm.
I'll start writing it like, and it's weird because I used to write like I would have to sit down in front of the computer, headphones on, start writing stuff like that, and it kind of evolved because I honestly I never used my phone to write. I still use pen and paper. I don't know why. I just
Yep.
like feel better about it.
I feel like
And
when it comes, I feel like also, I don't know if this is true for you. For me, there's like a memory factor to it when you actually write it down.
yeah, yeah,
Like it'll be
definitely.
easier for you to perform it later because you wrote it down, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it also makes it harder for me because since every time I have to like distribute a track or anything, I need to have the lyrics digitally like typed up and everything, and I have to send it to the distributor.
Hmm.
So I have to write it, and then I have to voice to text to my phone, and then I have to basically like upload it and stuff. So it makes it more
Hey.
difficult. But lately, I've been doing this weird thing where like I'm writing in my head, so I'll be
Hmm.
listening to a beat while I'm like driving or whatever, and I just keep like repeating what I want to say over and over and over until I get like almost the entire 16 bars, and then I'll like,
Very similar to how I saw people do their process for writing poetry when I used to hang out at the coffee shops, and I used to participate in poetry slams at those
yeah,
things.
yeah. I mean that's what I've been doing lately, and since I spend a majority of my time driving around anyway, I just loop the beat and just keep writing and writing and writing, and then when I finally get it all down, I'll like record it on my phone, and then I take it home and I write it on paper, and then I record it here. Like that's basically how I do it.
That's awesome. And by the way, I'd like to tell our audience, from talking to this dude and all the preparation he's helped us do, this guy is probably one of the hardest workers in the music business. You should expect to see his name in the future.
I would hope so, man. Cause damn,
Yeah,
14
I
years,
mean,
bro.
I love your shit. So, um, can you? I might have already asked that. Can you explain how you make music? Well, oh, I like this one too. Who would you like to work with?
Honestly, man, I've always liked. I'm actually. Let me see if I can show my shirt real quick. Where's that? There, somewhere coming up. Isham.
Oh, word!
Isham was like,
Nice.
yeah, I was trying to like get that thing up. It's at the bottom, but yeah, Isham was like honestly one of my favorite rappers for like the longest time already. I just like his content, like what he writes about and shit, like because it's very it's very real life, and it's very allegoric. You know what I mean?
In my
especially like
head, I can see the cover to a single with you two that says Gutta Priest and Isham the Unholy.
right. I mean that would be fucking sweet, dude. But
Right?
honestly, there's a couple others that I'd really like to work with as well. But Isham is like, where I would be like, okay, this is, I did it. I'd
Yeah.
like to work with like Loki. Let me see. I'd really like to work. I want to work with like Mars also because I really dig that guy a lot. Um, let's
You
see.
know, Loki, I actually started listening to Loki this week. Very good stuff. That
Yeah,
would
yeah,
work
he's
very well
really
with
good.
you as well,
Yeah,
I think.
well, anyone really from his, because he has a project called Mission Infect, and all those guys are really good, man. Like they are like, honestly, I feel like they're kind of slept on, dude, because like I've seen a lot of people lately talking about how like the new stuff really isn't doing it for them, like all the newer styles of horrorcore,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
like,
Oh,
dude,
well,
you
a
guys
lot
are.
of juggalos don't even like what ICP puts out more recently.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I'll always have respect for them.
Hmm.
I'm always gonna have respect for them. But prime example, dude, that new song, and I don't know if you got to see it, but it was like it was Violent J, Vanilla Ice.
ICP?
Yeah,
I think that's the name of the song.
I
I
dude,
liked that one
I like
actually.
Jay's part, and I liked Vanilla Ice's part. They were good. That other
Yeah.
guy though, I don't know,
I
man.
never heard of him either. I can't remember if he was at Hallowicked or not, because I went out to Detroit for the 30th and 31st. I saw Twisted do the Green Book on the 30th, and then I went to Hallowicked, so I guess I played both sides that week.
Yeah, but hey, man, there ain't no problem with. I don't think there's a problem with that, man. Because you know what, we
No.
all we all know that Twisted kicks ass. We all know that ICP kicks ass. It's like why even pick a side? Like
I'm always so glad to hear people say that. And one thing that I mean, we can drop this topic after I say this one thing, but my one thing is I can't help but notice the fact that Twisted doesn't really seem like they're that mad. Shaggy doesn't seem like he has that much of a problem. It seems like it's all Violent J.
yeah, I mean I don't really see too many people talking about it in general. Like I've heard a lot of people, like a lot of posts and stuff saying this and that, but I never really like. Maybe it's because I don't look for it, but I've never really physically seen the beef. Like seen them saying stuff. So
Oh yeah, on podcast, if Violent J gets asked about Twisted, it's usually not a very positive answer. Usually, Twisted just says, "Well, we had a disagreement, so we don't work together anymore,"
yeah,
which I feel like that's the best way to go about saying
yeah.
that.
For me, it's just like I told you earlier, dude. I'm literally like vacuum packed and chromatically sealed in my own juices. I'm stuck in like 2008 and before that. Like the music
Hey,
that I listened to, the CDs that I showed you earlier, man. It's just
oh yeah,
I'm like
that
stuck
was
there.
quite a
Like so,
stack.
anything new to me is just like I have no clue. You know what I mean? Like I'm clueless.
Yeah, sometimes it's so hard to get out of that too.
Yeah,
When I was like in my early 20s, I couldn't get enough of shit from the 70s. I was stuck in the 70s.
yeah. That's how I was with the '80s. I
Yep,
really
a
like
lot
the
of
'80s stuff.
people in my high school were into the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the '90s, so that whole era too. I mean, shit, I'm not ashamed to say it. I like that '90s dance shit that came out. Man, I liked it. I thought it was pretty badass. You know what I mean? Like they always had that one rapper that would hop in and spit that like one really bad verse, like it sucked ass, but it was like, hey, it was still fresh. You know what I mean? Like I liked it.
Oh yeah. Unfortunate about P. Diddy being a diddler,
Oh yeah, yeah. I heard about that.
huh?
That tripped me out too because like it blew up. But we can't forget that dude from Nickelodeon, man. We can't just focus on. We gotta go after all these motherfuckers. Can't just go after the one, Because I kind of felt like it was real convenient that whole podcast or whatever it was, that show that came out about Nickelodeon,
Hmm.
and then boom, P Diddy, and then it just like covered up the other shit. It's like no, don't cover up the other shit. Bring that shit up too. You gotta bring it
Yeah,
all up,
because that Quiet on the Set or whatever it was called, I saw that and I feel so bad for that dude. I don't remember his name. He had Drake, whatever his last name is. I feel
Yeah.
very bad for him.
I mean, I do feel bad for him at the same time, though. Like, I think he was doing the same shit, so it was kind of like, why would you do the same shit, to someone else? Like, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you've got to
Unfortunately,
feel
with
you
those
got to feel
kinds of
bad
things,
because
they become learned
yeah,
by
yeah,
having it
yeah,
done to you.
yeah. That's
And
I get that much, but at the same time, at least try. You got to try to
but
not perpetuate the cycle
I
as
was going
well.
to say, at the same time, there's also plenty of people who have had something like that happen to them who would never do such a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the way you hope. If people think right, that's the way they'll be.
Yeah, and unfortunately the world works in weird ways, like shit happens, but
Um, how do you incorporate other people's feedback into what you do without having it hurt like your vision of what you're kind of going for?
that's good too because, just the other day, I don't know if you know who Doc Gruesome is. Have you heard of
No,
Doc Gruesome? You should
no,
check
I've
him
never
out.
heard of him.
That guy is fucking good, bro. Like, I'm not saying this lightly. Like, he has this crazy delivery and
Okay.
his songs are just hard, dude. They're like something you just bump while driving around, dude, and it's really good stuff. I actually hit that dude up the other day because I've been trying to reach out to a lot of these artists that are kind of like way like they're above me on the totem pole,
Mm-hmm.
and like I told him, I'm not reaching out to them because I'm trying to steal their fans or bite off any of their clout or that kind of stuff. My thing
Yeah,
is
there's
that
no reason why people can't share fans.
yeah, well no, with me it's not about the fans even. It's more so about I want to be the worst rapper in the room at all times. That's what I want. That's what I strive to be because if I'm the best person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. It means it
Yeah.
means it means you got nothing to work for too.
Yeah, yeah, I got to kind of step up. So I asked him like, "Hey man, look, I know it's weird," I said, "but can you please just give me some feedback on this track cuz I have a EP coming out."
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I have an EP coming out, but this one specifically is kind of a little bit later down the line cuz this one's going to go like crazier than anything I've ever done before.
Okay, so
Um,
yeah, production and stuff is gonna
yeah,
take
yeah,
a
the
bit.
production, the everything is just it's going to be different. I think you'll like it.
Nice,
But I
nice.
asked him, "Hey, what do you think about this track?" And he gave me honest feedback, and that I do not mind. I love honest feedback because it gives me a point of reference. Because when you're looking at your own shit, sometimes you get lost in the sauce. You got to have that outside perspective to kind of put
That's
you in
cool.
check and be like, "Yeah, you know what? I could have done this better, or I could have done that better." Now, there's
Yeah,
a difference between criticism and just being a dick. You could just be like, "Oh, it sucks." Well, why does it suck? Tell me. I
yeah,
don't care if you say it sucks. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
yeah.
But at least give me a reason so I can grow from it. That's the difference between constructive criticism and just criticism.
Wow, dude, that is so cool. I have never thought of it that way, but now that I hear that, I will forever think of it that way.
It's the only way to think. It's the only way to really like make yourself a better person. Not just musically, but like mentally, physically, whatever. Like they can't just be like, "Oh, you're fat." Well, I mean, what can I do about it? Help me. Tell me what to do. Like that's the difference.
Let me tell you, I wish I was fat. I somebody challenges me to a fight, I know I'm getting my ass kicked. um, Now, I know you've told me about a couple of them already, but what's your favorite performance that you've done so far?
Damn. Okay, there's two. There's two that I really really liked.
All right.
First one is obviously going to be like the lesser of the two, but that was this. It was like a anime convention I did at the island because I live really close to South Padre Island,
Oh,
and this was
cool.
around the time that I was already blackballed, so it was hard for me to get shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And they hit me up randomly. I don't know if it's because I wear a mask or something that they were like, "Oh, let's get a mask guy to come out to an anime cosplay convention thing." And I'm like, "All right, well, I don't think they know what I do, but okay." And I went out there, and my buddy Alza Ninja, he was a guy that I rapped with him since I think he started. Well, he started when he was locked up, but he didn't actually make and record music until like 2011 after I started. So we worked together for a long time. He
I
actually
just got
dressed
to
up.
say one thing that
Yeah.
the thing you said about the anime convention, I once went to a club the same night as Anime Boston, and apparently this club was part of Anime Boston, and it was my favorite night having to listen to that terrible dubstep music because all over the place there were 18-year-old girls dressed up like Sailor Moon, and there
Yeah.
wasn't alcohol allowed, so any girl I got was fair game.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Speaking of that, it's funny that you say that too because there was a lot of that stuff going because it was the time. It was the time period, where that was really big. I think that had to been like, I want to say that was also in like 2011. That I went to that show.
All right, yeah,
And
I want to say it was probably between then and 2013
yeah,
when
yeah, it
I
was that. It
went to
was
the show
definitely
I
that
was
era.
talking about.
Yeah, because there
Yep.
was a bunch of guys doing. They had their full setup. They had PA systems and all their stuff like that. And the thing is I knew a guy there, and I'll get to that right now because that's a trip. So
Okay.
my buddy, Alza Ninja, he actually went dressed as a Poliwhirl. Like he got the full costume of a Poliwhirl and went out there and performed his
Awesome.
tracks like dressed like that. It was a trip, but it was real fun because just the environment, the scene. But the thing is this dude had a full setup, and I knew him back in high school, so I was like, hey, there's a chance that I might actually be able to perform, on this PA system because what I had an old RCA boombox that I would hook up to a computer, and I
Uh-huh.
would basically what I did was I used this cheap program. It's called Audacity. It was what I used to record back in the day. It was a free program,
Hmm.
but it had a live monitoring system that I would run. Basically, I would run because I didn't have an interface or anything. I would run
Okay.
the beats off of there, and I would run the mics in the PC, and I would run that out with a USB cable to the boombox, and I would play it off the boombox. Like
Oh,
our whole live performance was played. Like I would rig it to, because me it was like I want to perform, I want to do this, I'm gonna do it any way possible.
it
So
sounds like I'm getting a picture in my head. Have you ever seen those videos of Marilyn Manson performing when they didn't have a drummer and they had a drum machine instead?
I don't think.
Just I'm getting that picture in my head.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is if you want to do it, you got to do it no matter what. And they were
Yep.
laughing at us and stuff because we had we had these little. I'm talking the speakers were like shoot, dude, like smaller than these right here,
Ah.
smaller than those, and wait, there they are, somewhere around there. Yeah,
Oh
they
yeah,
were
I know.
tiny.
You
They
have the
were
exact
tiny.
same speakers as a friend of mine, by the way.
Yeah, they were tiny little speakers, and I mean it wasn't loud. It was drowned out by everyone else bumping their music just in the in the convention. Like it
Oh
wasn't even.
man.
So I went up to this dude, and I thought we were cool because
Hmm.
we went to high school together, and that doesn't necessarily make you inherently like cool or anything with somebody. But I was always cool with him.
Hmm.
And all he did was like he basically said, "Nah, fuck you," and started laughing in my face about my speakers. And it's funny because I knew that one of my friends fucked his chick back in high school, and I said, "Yeah, that's why your chick fucked my buddy, because you're a bitch." And he got super butthurt and he wanted to start shit or whatever. But we went up, we performed, and they ended up pulling a knife on one of our friends, who was his name was we called him Ashtray, right?
Big
But this
smoker.
Yeah, he smoked, but like it was weird because he was kind of like I don't know how to explain it. He was kind of like real like he was timid, dude. He was like he wouldn't hurt nobody, He was a gentle giant kind of guy.
Oh
And
okay.
and
Yep.
they jumped him because they knew that if they jumped, all of us would fuck him up. So they
Hmm.
cornered him by himself. We were sitting at a McDonald's after our show, and we just see him running like from like four dudes or whatever. And as soon as me and All Zen got up, dude, those guys stopped and went back. It was just
It's almost like they thought he was the weak link in your group,
basically,
type of deal.
yeah. That's just how these people are, though, man. They always go for that.
Yeah. Is it rough out there in the area where you live?
Not as rough as where I used to live, because I used to live right outside of Chicago, in Indiana, and over there,
Oh yeah, it's
it
no
can get
joke in
rough.
those
Yeah,
parts.
yeah, it can get rough there.
Well,
Here, it's
I've
not.
seen interviews with Billy Corgan. He's not living in a shitty part of Chicago, and even he says he's got bullets flying all over the place
Yeah, yeah, it's
outside.
it's 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 bad like that. Here, of course, we're close to the border, so we have our own issues. We have our own things. But as for like gangs and shit, I mean, there's a lot of prison gangs, and when they get out, they're still, in their gang, but it's not like up there where they had like the Latin Kings, Gangsta Disciples type thing. They don't have that down here. There's some smaller gangs, but it ain't the same. It ain't the same. It's chill, but I still had my fair share of scuffles down here. Like just like everywhere, you're always gonna have it.
Somebody who thinks they're tougher than you, or when you're performing in bars and stuff, there's always the possibility that somebody gets beer muscles too.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is being from this scene in general, you're already an outcast. They already don't like you. They're
Oh
like, oh, what the
yeah.
fuck? Why is this guy in here with a mask? What's his problem?
Well, I was gonna say I could very much understand why sometimes artists who are more in the underground would only want to perform with other artists who are in the other underground. But what you're doing with performing with those people who are like, "What's this guy doing here?" is you
Hmm.
could be turning somebody new onto this, and like the underground has the best audience you could possibly get. Like you won't maybe you'll get 10 people instead of 100, but those 10 people would die for you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All the shows that I performed at have all been basically not necessarily mixed genre, but might as well be because like we're all doing hip hop or whatever.
All
But you
right,
have
cool.
people that are doing, anything from what they call corridos. I think I'm not really fluent in Spanish, but that's what they call it,
Neither am
which
I,
is
and
kind of
I'm
like
Puerto
a
Rican.
what it's kind of like Mexican gang music type stuff.
I've heard
And
of
then
that. I've
yeah,
heard of that. In a few, I think Narco. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
Breaking
like narco
Bad
type
had
shit.
some of that kind of music in it. I
Yeah.
think in a couple episodes, and there's one I'm thinking of where they were murking a bunch of people as guys were playing that kind of music.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like that stuff, and then you have the ones that are all like, oh, we're cartel or whatever, and they're rapping about like that kind of life, and then you also have the regular rappers that are kind of like I wouldn't know what to call them, but they just kind of rap like they're just hip hop. They just do hip hop things. You got those, and then you have like those nerdcore type rappers that are all about video games and all that. I've never had beef with any of those type of guys. It's just usually the ones that are like trying to be super tough about their image or whatever that start shit.
I've never heard of nerdcore. That sounds like it might be up my alley, though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was this one group, man, and I wish I remembered them. There was this one group, and it's not just rap too. They also have rock. Like there was this one another group called like Sonic something, Sonic Cool. I don't remember what it was called, but Super Sonic something. But they played like metal versions of old video game songs, like Mega Man and stuff like that, like the actual songs. But they play like metal versions of it.
Oh, I like that.
It's
Have
a
you
whole
ever
thing,
listened
dude.
to Mindless Self Indulgence?
Yeah,
I think they use Ataris to make some of the sounds in their music.
yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of people have been emulating the old 8-bit sound cards and stuff, and they're making like songs off of the SNES chips and stuff like that too. So it's like that's called chip tune, is what it's called, chip tune.
That's a good way to get the audience of people. I grew up with a Nintendo
Yeah,
that are like that age.
for real.
Since you kind of brought it up, I was wondering if there were any artists that you might like to shout out.
Yeah, honestly, I have a homeboy named Philo. He's like kind of like a sensei, kind of thing to me. And when I first started out, like this guy was like honestly one of the best rappers that I knew, and he was always like leagues above me. So, and he's always been real supportive. So I wanna shout out Philo.
Cool.
For sure, I got to shout out Noise Complaint Productions, my producer Yoshi Gorboy.
Nice.
He's a badass dude. He makes basically all the beats for like all the songs. I am working with another producer also. His name is Grim Ross. That's the new one that I'm telling you about. The one maybe after this I'll shoot you a sample of that so you can hear it. That's gonna be some good shit. I'm gonna shout out him. Of course, I want to shout out Lycanberry because she makes all of my like edits and artwork and stuff. So I
Oh
send
yeah,
her
yeah. That's
pictures. Yeah, I
yep.
send her pictures and then she'll like edit them up and stuff for me. So that's pretty cool because like I have no Photoshop skills whatsoever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um,
Because get the artwork that I've seen that you put up on your Facebook and
Yeah, yeah,
everything. I
she
think it's
does
really
like
cool.
basically all of that for me, and she drew this picture. I'll send you that too later. She drew a picture back when I had my old mask when I was hollow.
Mm-hmm.
I had like a mask that was actually made by another person I'd like to shout out. Um, Erie Land Masks, my homie in Northern Ireland. He actually makes masks for me and sends them to me.
Oh
This
wow.
one I actually made, but he made like a couple other masks for me already, and that's pretty badass.
So
And
you,
another homie, AOD, because I've known him since he was actually at that first show that I told you about, where
oh,
that fight broke out, and then that they
okay.
blackballed me. Yeah, from that
Yep.
point forward, he was at that first show too. He was
No.
performing. We didn't even know each other. He told me that he actually didn't like me. And then
Oh
like
really?
after a while we started like talking and he was like, "All right, this dude's pretty cool." Like that's and I've known him since
That's
then,
always a
so
great thing when somebody doesn't like you and then you can convince them otherwise, and you didn't even
yeah.
have to try.
Yeah, yeah. It was just,
Um,
because we were both in the same genre, so it was kind of like more of a competitive thing than oh, I don't like you for a reason.
I'm kind of giggling at the way I wrote this question here because I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Young Frankenstein,
Yeah.
but what advice do you have for those who might want to follow in your footsteps?
Footsteps, eh? Honestly, the only thing I can tell if anybody wants to follow like the path that I'm following, is just make sure that you learn as much as you can from whoever you can. Whether you consider them in your element or not, whether they're horrorcore or whatever, it doesn't matter what they do. If someone's better than you at something,
Yep,
stick around that person, soak up as much as you can,
that's true.
because you may come to a point in time like where I'm at right now, where I'm basically solo, like there's no one in the studio, there's no one here
Cool.
with me. So it's just me kind of like, just sitting here, and I have no one to bounce off of. I have no one to absorb any ideas from. I do reach out to Yoshi and a couple other friends here and there and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think I should do?" But it's not the same as actually having someone there with you, like it's a big difference. So for one, try to learn as much as you can. Never, ever, ever. God, I hate people that are like this, bro. I hate people that are fucking cocky, dude. I can't stand them.
Oh,
Don't be like that. Stay humble. You're
I
never
mean,
better than
it's
no one
it's good to
else.
be confident, but I
Yeah,
definitely know what you mean about not
yeah.
being cocky.
You gotta have confidence. Confidence is key, but at the same time, never think you're better than anybody else, man. You're not. No one's better than anybody else. We're all fucking people. We're all gonna fucking die. Chill. Like it's true. Um, we're all here for a good time, not a long time. You know what I mean? So
I like that.
why take shit so serious? You know what I mean?
I feel like that right there was a Facebook quote that I'm putting up somewhere.
Yeah. But you got
um,
you got to put it with that sunset in the background. You know what I mean? And those
I
those
like that.
white
Yeah.
letters.
What's your favorite venue, dude?
Okay, that was actually good because I forgot to bring it up in the last one when you asked me about my favorite performance, because we went off on that tangent about the anime convention. But it was Cena El Rey. I believe it's in McAllen, because I didn't know because we got kicked out anyway, so it didn't matter. I didn't actually physically get to perform. Like I was up there, but the people that went before me, Alza Ninja and this other homie that used to rap, but he don't rap no more. They had a group called Binded by Fate. They went on first, and they told them, "Hey, look, there's families here also," because it was like kind of like a market, but it was also
Uh-huh.
live music.
Oh,
They said
okay.
try to keep the swearing to a minimum, and the first thing they did was scream "fuck" like at the top of their lungs, because their
Oh
thing
man.
was we do what we want to. That was their whole motto. Like literally, if you listen to their songs, like every song, it was always like, "I'm the AZN and I do what I want to." Like
You
that
think
was their
that?
thing. So they actually kicked us out before I got to perform, but I was there on the same stage that the Ramones had played on before,
Oh wow.
that the Misfits had played on before.
I've
Like
seen them
big
four
big groups
times.
were there, like and they had been on that stage, and to me that was like it felt like I was somewhere doing something. You know
I was gonna
that
say,
that's
tell me you at least got to stand on that stage to see
I
what it was
did.
like.
I was up there. I was up there with them, and
Okay.
I was awaiting. You know, I was chilling in the back, and I
Hmm.
was on the stage, but behind the curtains because it was like an old theater, so they had those
Oh
big
wow,
red curtains
nice.
and stuff. Yeah. So I was behind the curtains while they were performing, and as soon as I heard them like tell them not to do something, I was like, "Well, you fucked up," because they're
Yep,
gonna do
yep,
it.
yep. I was. I think I told. I think I told somebody this recently. If you tell the juggalos, or pretty much anybody from the underground not to do something, they're
Yeah,
probably going to do it.
and they're gonna do it more often. They're gonna do it
And
more often
if you
because you
just
said
say
no.
nothing, they'll kind of self-govern. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm going to the gathering of the Juggalos this summer. I'm sure if something goes down and Violent J says not to do it, it won't be going down anymore.
yeah. Yeah, that because that's like it's Violent J. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if you're not
Well, that's
Violent J, it's
self-governing, like
probably
I was saying. I mean,
yeah,
we keep saying if we govern ourselves, but if other people tell us not to do something.
for sure.
Oh, I love this. How has the pandemic affected the music industry and your performances and also your personal life?
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing that tripped me out too was that when that all happened, I had gotten injured at one of my jobs. Like I tore my ACL,
Uh,
and so I was out like in February of 2020. Like I was out. I was at home. And then everything really popped off in March, so I kind of like avoided it for a good because I couldn't even walk. I was just like there.
so you were on
Uh,
workers' comp, basically.
yeah, I was on workman's comp for like I want to say like maybe 6 7 months, but it took them like so long to actually do my surgery
Hmm.
that they ended up just letting me go because they were like, "Oh, it's taking too long," and I'm like, "Well, you guys got to approve the surgery. I can't just go and get surgery." So it took them like
Oh yeah.
4 months just to get my MRI done, and then it took another month for them to do the surgery, and
Now, was
then
it with them waiting that long? Did they end up having to like break it and set it
no, no, it wasn't.
because it
It
like
was
set it
just
the wrong way?
it was just a ligament. So what they did was they cut a piece of my shin. So they cut open my shin and cut like a ligament out of there, and then they put 2 screws in my knee.
Oh,
So I've
all
got
right,
like
yeah.
aftermarket parts and shit.
My father got this part of his hand taken off by a newspaper press, and he had to get a skin graft from his hip. So
Yeah,
sometimes my dad literally gets hairy palms.
no shit. Yeah, that seems to be the thing. Like me, I mean, I always tripped out because it's like what keeps that piece that you cut out? What keeps it alive? Why is it not rotting inside me? Have you ever
How
thought
is
about
it growing hair when that spot isn't a hair spot?
I guess it's just like the way that part of the body is like you know made or whatever. But like for me, it's like if I were to like let's say take a ligament from a chicken and cut it
Hmm.
out and like put it there, it would rot. So why
Hmm.
isn't it rotting? That piece from my other, like from my shin and my knee, why isn't that rotting? Just like thoughts that go on constantly. But I still don't
Yeah.
have any feeling in that knee at all. It's tripped out.
Oh.
So what I was gonna get at with all that is I was out, so I spent that time, writing 9 circles actually.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, like that's where I finished it because I had already started in 2019, but of
Okay.
course the injury and everything delayed it. So it didn't actually even come out until like 2021, which sucked because I really wanted to drop that one. I had the other album, Diary of an Insomniac, was already done. I had some singles that had come out already done. It was just I was waiting on that album, and
I was gonna say, dude, yeah, I wasn't remembering the name. Now that you've said it, Nine Circles, that's the name of it. I listened since I looked you up on Spotify. I have been listening to that one every day for at least the past week,
it's
all the
one that
way
I'm real
through every
proud of
time.
because it's like it's very concise. It's like a full start to finish story kind of thing. Like that's why I like it. And it was
And
actually really hard to write.
And now that you mentioned earlier your influences, now that I think about it, I can see the Pink Floyd influence on it because it's a really good concept album. And
Yeah,
just like a lot of Pink Floyd stuff, you can't just listen to one song. You got to listen to it from the front to the back. You got to make sure you got the whole. I think it's a
yeah.
half an hour. You got to make sure you got all that time to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah,
in my
yeah, and
opinion, anyway.
I also wanted to make sure that it wasn't like too long either, because if it was too long, then no one's going to get the full picture. Because you're not going to want to sit there every time and listen to an album that's an hour long. You know, sometimes you're going on a quick trip or something. You can get it through. You can bump the whole thing start to finish in a 30-minute drive or something.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but as
I
for the
mean,
pandemic thing, dude, like for me, it was mainly this. It was just for one, shows like stopped. There was no way to really do shows for a while,
unless you
and
wanted to do something online with no
exactly,
audience.
yeah, that's another thing. And some people actually like kept that idea. They
Yeah.
didn't stop doing remote shows. As a matter of fact, Loki, he actually retired from live shows like 6 years ago. He doesn't do them. He hasn't done them in 6 years,
Oh
but
wow.
he does his things in VR chat. Like if you download the app on your phone or on the computer, you can go into the room and they're there. Like Loki's there and all the guys are there, and they'll talk to you and everything. And it's like a little rave party that they throw like every Thursday.
Wow, that's
So
a
it's
that's a. I guess that's a good way to do it if you want. If you're good at performing like that without an
mhm.
audience, because I feel like sometimes you need the audience there for the feedback, so
Yeah, for
you
the
know if
energy.
you're
Yeah, definitely.
doing it right.
And they also
'Cause-
do like like they do other artists that perform live in there too. So it's not just them, but they'll have other artists come up or DJs and stuff, and they just perform live music while everyone's just hanging out, having a few drinks and stuff at home. But you're in the company of like-minded people, So it's a cool concept. Sometimes you just got to adapt like that. You've got to, because things are changing constantly. It's like with Spotify and all that stuff.
oh
Things
yeah,
are just constantly changing. You have to change with it, or else you get left behind.
that's for sure. Let's see. Oh shit. Speaking of, how do you feel about streaming services?
Yeah, that is it's a love hate. It's definitely love hate because it's cool. It's cool because you have endless amounts of music at your fingertips. Like whatever you feel like listening to, for the most part, you can find and you can stream, and for the most part, it's free because you don't
hmm
necessarily need premium on any of the streaming services, right? So except a select few. But
Yeah.
for the
I
most part,
mean,
you can.
I have the premium service on Spotify, and I feel like that's the only thing that, like, no matter how poor I am, I'm keeping that going.
Yeah, because the ads are ridiculous. Sometimes they just play like more ads than you actually get music, and it's just annoying
Well,
as hell.
that and I like to be able to pick what song I'm listening to, you know?
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
like, if you,
definitely, yeah.
I think if you don't have the subscription, you like, for example, how I listen to your songs, I can't listen to the whole album like that. It would probably play that and then like songs like it.
And yeah, exactly. It doesn't even play the same artist sometimes. It'll just jump to some like completely. Yeah, no, I feel that like 100% because I recently dropped my subscription to Spotify because I was just like, I usually listen to like podcasts anyway when I'm at work, so I'm just driving and
Yeah,
it's just something
I
like
understand that.
yeah, just long, just listen to whatever. And there's not really ads other than the ones that the podcast puts in themselves, so it's kind of like, well, screw it. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a love-hate with streaming because, like I said, it does take away from sales. Obviously, people aren't really buying CDs anymore, which isn't necessarily their fault because, people aren't buying CDs. It hasn't been that way since, the early 2000s. Everyone's been, MP3 anyway.
I
But
was gonna say, yeah, if iTunes works the way that I remember it used to work, like, don't people have to pay when they download songs or something?
They,
And
they they actually did away with it. They did away
oh,
with
okay,
that. Now it's Apple Music. I thought the same thing because tripped me out because I think they still have the option to pay 99 cents for a track or something,
okay,
but
yeah,
it's not like usually people are just using Apple Music, which is kind of like Spotify but for Apple or whatever. So
oh yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like I said, it's everything's changed. So the CDs, that's less money that we could make if we're at a show and we have like CDs there. No one's gonna buy them because now what do you need? You need like a little
you need a
what do you
CD
call it?
player.
Yeah, well, you need a CD player, yeah, to do it. And even nowadays, cars don't even come with it in stock anymore like they used to. They're
Yep.
all Bluetooth now, so you can just hook your phone up to it. So
I
it's
was
it's
gonna
just like
say it's similar to. Do you remember back in the day you used to have to buy the tape thing to hook your
yeah, you
CD
put the you
player
put
up
the
to the car?
Yeah, you put the cassette tape in, and it has a wire that you plug into the headphone jack of your CD player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. As a matter of
I
fact, my
definitely had
homie
that when
still
I was
has that. He
16.
still has it in his car because he has like an old Toyota Corolla that has the tape deck still. So he's still doing that shit. Like, and every time he hits a bump, he skips the damn CD. Same thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it kind of blows my mind. I don't smoke butts or anything, but they don't have ashtrays in the cars anymore, too.
Yeah, yeah. That's that was a trip too because well actually mine still does because I have a 2005 Dodge Magnum RT, so it looks like a hearse. That's why I love that car so much. It looks like a
That's
fucking
cool.
hearse.
You could
And
probably put equipment in there too.
but yeah, and it's got a lot of space because the back seats fold down. It's a hatchback. It's basically a station wagon with balls is what it is. But
I like that.
it just looks like a sleek like hearse style and everything. And I've loved that car since I was younger. So I actually ended up finally getting one last year in July, and I was just like fucking ecstatic because, like I said, I've wanted that car since I was 17 years old. You
Have
know,
you
of
ever
course, I couldn't afford it back then, but now, you know, they're getting cheaper because they're old as fuck.
have you ever seen that show 6 Feet Under?
I might need to remember what is it about.
It was on HBO. It was about a funeral home in Los Angeles run by this family.
I don't
And
believe
the
it because
first episode, the father dies.
HBO, I never really watched too much on HBO.
Well, what you said about driving the car that's like a hearse, the daughter in the show, she was around 16, 17, and they gave her a car that was one of their old hearses, so she was driving around in a hearse.
Yeah, I actually got a buddy that has a hearse. I actually met him randomly. He kind of hit me up. I believe he sent me an email because I had my email out there on some of the streaming services. I don't remember where I had my email, but he found it and he hit me up because his I think it's his cousin makes horrorcore out in California.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, "Yeah, I checked out some of your stuff. It's pretty badass or whatever. If you ever need like a hearse or anything for a music video, just hit me up because I've got hearses, I've got coffins, and all sorts of shit." And I'm like, "Well, that's fucking sick."
Nice. Ah, I like this one also. What are your future plans? I think you've
All right.
gone into that a little bit.
Yeah, but this would probably be the easiest way to cover it. So, short term, I am currently trying to be more social media minded. I'm really trying to focus on social media because I've ignored it for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to basically, you know, interact with people and trying to get people involved in what I'm doing because, like I said, I have a lot of projects coming up. I have
Okay.
a single coming out with Nobody Jones, Sickly Cyrus, and AOD, the guy I spoke to you about earlier
Nice.
in this interview. So it's going to be four people on a track, and it's a pretty hard ass song. I really like it. I
Nice.
put out an ad on my Facebook, but I have that coming out, and I believe that's going to drop on 420. And
Nice.
then I have another EP called What Lies Ahead, another three track. It's a 3-track EP. That one will be coming out most likely in, I want to say it's April, May, possibly May, because it's already done. It's just sitting there, you know. But I just need
Perfect.
to make sure that my distributor has the licenses, because two of the instrumentals are actually purchased licenses. Like I have unlimited leases for them. So
Nice.
I need to get that cleared up, and then I can ship that out. That's going to be coming, and then of course Grim, which is going to be. I think it's going to change the outlook that people have of my music. Like people who like it now, of course, are going to like it, but people who may be on the fence,
Uh huh.
this is going to change their fucking mind. Because this is like,
The
and I
push
don't.
in the right direction.
Yeah, it's because it's like it's kind of taking it to that new level, you know, but at the same time keeping the roots, you know, keeping the old school, you know, wicked shit. But it's gonna bump, you know what I mean? It's gonna be hard, you know. So that's coming up as well. As far as I know, musically, that's what I have coming out for the next couple months. Um, but I do, you know, eventually want to start reaching out and branching out collaborations with artists that are a little bit bigger, so that
Yep.
maybe it can reach a wider audience and stuff like that. And of course, if I have somebody that's obviously better than me on a track, I always like it, for whatever reason. Whenever I do collaboration, it's already better than what I normally do,
Hmm.
just because like it's somebody else's shit, and I respect people enough to not drop garbage on their stuff. But if it's someone better than me, it pushes me to elevate to that level, and it brings things out of me that I probably would have under any other circumstance never come out with. You know?
Yeah, also, like it can spread your influence. I know. In Violent J's autobiography, he said that's why he had Esham and Kid Rock on their first album, and they
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
pay for that.
yeah, yeah, and that's because they are kind of in the same area, the same range, but they're
Hmm.
not exactly right on top of each other. So that's how
I'd
you
say
really,
Kid Rock went off the deep end.
yeah, he's on another thing right now.
I'm not gonna lie, I love the album "Devil Without a Cause,"
Yeah,
but everything he's done since then and the things he says, not a fan.
yeah, yeah.
But Devil Without a Cause is like the ultimate male fantasy. um, Shit. I guess we're at the close to the end of this. I just wanted to find out, or rather, make it so everybody else can find out where they can find your music or listen to you.
So basically, something that's really cool. I don't know if you got to see it or not, but apparently, Google thinks that I'm actually somebody now. And they and I
Yeah,
already said the
yeah, you
joke's
pop
on
right
them
up.
because I ain't shit. But they actually made a like I have an artist like card now. When you look up Gutta Priest on Google, it pops up musical artist. It shows my label, Plague Doctor Entertainment, all that shit. So like I was like, what the fuck? When did this happen? So apparently I fooled them into thinking I'm somebody, but
Right?
in all actuality, like I said, I ain't shit. So I've got that. If you look up anywhere, I mean anywhere you look, if you just go Gutta Priest, Facebook.com/Gutta Priest, Instagram at Gutta Priest, everything is Gutta Priest exactly the same way, spelt one word. You'll
All
find it
right, awesome,
everywhere. YouTube, it don't matter. SoundCloud, Spotify, anywhere. Just same thing. Gutta Priest, one word.
sweet. I like that. I think this went really well.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about if we would get the about what I'd do if we got this far. So I'm just gonna say goodbye. I don't know if you want to have some sort of goodbye you'd like to say.
I mean, to anybody who doesn't know who I am, hopefully you look it up. Honestly, I hope that you keep doing these things because this was actually pretty good. I think you did, pretty badass.
Oh,
Considering
thank
this
you.
is your first interview, you know what I mean. You did pretty badass. You handled it well.
Oh, thanks,
Best
man.
interview I've had, to be honest.
Oh, thanks.
Really.
I hope
So
I hope I hear
yeah,
that from everybody.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I want this to keep going because this is pretty cool. And like I said, I mean, just hopefully this expands the reach of everybody that you interact with. That's
And I,
basically.
and and I was gonna say, I'm hoping the same can happen for you. I mean, the whole reason why I wanted to start doing interviews was so people could have a way to like check out new stuff that maybe they wouldn't have checked out before.
Yeah, for sure, and that's what it's all about, And it's a it helps both of you. It helps you and the guest.
Oh yeah. Plus, this was fun.
Yeah, I mean like I told you, it's gonna go well, man. It's it's a pretty good concept. It's a good idea, and it's not like it's super overdone. There's not a lot of this going on. There really isn't. There's a select few
Exactly.
shows, and that's it.
I for sure was not gonna do it. Not gonna do a goddamn ghost hunting video.
Right? Yeah, because that's what everybody's doing that shit now.
Exactly.
And then you got all those what are those dudes called? Them scary video dudes, Nuke's top five and shit. And they're always like,
Oh, okay. Yep.
with the fucking arrow pointing at the obvious fucking shit that's there, and they're like,
The
oh, did you see it?
compilations or what?
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
weird
yeah, yeah. And I'm like,
compilations.
man,
Yep.
dude, that's way overplayed. Way overplayed.
I also watch a lot of prison content. I've never
Yeah.
been to prison, but I watch a lot of content where they
Yeah, yeah,
talk about
like
that.
those ones where they got them fighting and shit like that, and all that other stuff that happens in there. Yeah, I seen that on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Well, I definitely wanted to mention before we left that I believe you told me that might be going to the Spread the Dead podcast soon.
Possibly, because he told me that he wants to get me on. So if that's the case, then I mean, why not? I'm always down to talk. Like I said, I don't really talk to too many people, so I just this kind of shit's just me talking. That's all it
Cool,
is.
because I was hoping that it would work out for you because I consider him a friend of the show. He's done a lot to help me out personally.
Yeah, yeah, he seemed like a cool dude. I mean, because like at first when he added me, he was sharing stuff about the podcast, right? And I was like, oh shoot, like they got this guy on there, they got this guy on there. And when I looked,
You
I
get some
clicked
good
on,
ones.
yeah, yeah, and I had clicked on the Facebook page, and the Facebook page doesn't have a whole lot of followers, right? So I had made a comment that was like, yo, dude, for having like these pretty big names, relative to the scene,
Yeah,
you don't have there's not a lot of followers on this Facebook page. He's like, oh, that's my podcast, man. And I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't want to offend him or anything because I
yeah.
was like, I didn't mean it like that. I was just like, these are big names for having this many. And he's like, nah, dude, on the YouTube we have like over 6,000. I'm like, oh shoot, okay, that's where it's all at.
Oh
The Facebook's
yeah.
not that big, but the YouTube, that's where it's all at.
Exactly. All right, man. Now, how do we? Ah, that would be.